are back. How are you, Dr. Lane Rowland?
I'm super fantastic.
Oh, what you drinking on tonight? Can I ask?
It's secret, but I got my.
Okay. I got it. No problem. I got it. So listen, you are back again at the Relationship Zone. I'm so excited to have you here again tonight where we can just kick back, talk, sister brother talk, and yes, you can have your drink and I got a little something over here I'm sipping on and we can talk to the people tonight. Part 5. Can you believe that? We've been going for the last few months.
Well, I mean, God, it's funny is how time just gone by. I can't believe it's been almost a year
Yeah.
in the SARS COVID era and stuff, and we've done 5 programs,
Yeah.
and it's been exciting. Each program is progressed with more
Yeah.
information, more science, and so I want to thank you for giving me an opportunity to be on your platform.
Hey, listen, you're the blessing over here. I love it. I love having you here, and I love all the questions when they come in. So, to our viewers, if you are tuning in tonight, please share this with your family, share this in your network, put the information out. We are going to be sharing a lot of good information tonight, and if you have any questions, make sure you add those in the comment section. And I promise you, I'm gonna do my best to get to everybody's question tonight. So, Dr. Rowland. You ready?
Yes, just go for it.
All right. Listen, where you've been traveling a whole lot, and I get the chance to see you moving about the country. So, can I ask where you are tonight?
Tonight, I finally, I'm in Las Vegas. You know,
Oh,
I've been in Vegas like I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days, but man, girl, I've been to California, Riverside, New York, Jackson, Mississippi for 2 weeks. It's been a whirlwind, but I'm
mhm. You're enjoying it. So let me ask you, how is it out there in Vegas? I know that they changed kind of how the casinos and things are working, but have you really seen a big difference? Like since you've been back this time, like how does it look now? Is it, any different from from the way it was like 6 months ago?
well, I think one of the things I've noticed is there are more people on airplanes coming here. I've never seen so many
Mhm.
folks come into Vegas, and I think it's the reason why is that they got the rates down so low that people
Mhm.
can afford it, and so people are coming to Vegas, and they're probably the reason why we have the spread of the new virus mutant here in Nevada from California, et cetera.
Mhm.
And the economy is in tatters because they don't have the traditional revenue that they used to make and stuff. But
Mhm.
that's one way. I think that's good because it tells them that they need to do a different formula for the future when we
Right.
do get this economy and society back
Mhm.
open. And that's what I'm trying to do, to help everybody to get these children back in school in Las Vegas. So it's very important, to understand the situation, understanding the impacts of viruses and how it just
Mhm.
changed our society.
Yeah.
People need to be smart this time around and not be complacent, because just because you cannot see the SARS COVID virus does not mean it's there.
Man, you said a mouthful, and I think that's one of the feelings that I get, even in my workplace, is that sometimes I think we forget that this virus is real and it's still there. And I see people move without any type of concern, and it makes me very uncomfortable. You know my story. You know how I am. So
But
it makes me uncomfortable. This
but
virus is real.
yeah, and Queenie, I mean, I have to give you a shout out. That's why if you ever need me 24/7, 365 days a year, I'm
Thank
always going to
you.
be with you because of your Black American history.
Yeah.
We've talked about, you have the effect of the SARS COVID-19
Mhm.
directly affect you because of the death of your father from
Yeah.
the COVID-19 disease, your work, your being at your job, and people being
Yeah.
affected the SARS COVID virus. So you're right in the middle of the trenches and stuff. So you have real life experience to speak from it, from a real
Mhm.
experience, and that's important for people to understand that when we're talking about the SARS COVID virus, we're not talking from some theoretical, drinking a coffee and
Yeah.
but we have real world experience.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. And thank you so much for saying that. It's much appreciated. So we're going to jump on into this because, like me working in the trenches, I know that you're working in the trenches as well. I had the liberty to see you over, where were you at? Like Jackson, Mississippi, or yeah, you down there doing your thing, providing with the mayor of all people, providing the PCR test. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, this is one of our goals, but one of our significant goals for our CEO Charles Pickett, because he's from Mississippi,
Hmm.
and I'm from the great state of Louisiana. And one of the things that was interesting is that we have clinics, open up laboratories in Minnesota, North Carolina, Atlanta. But before we make our national rollout of PCR testing, which is a gold standard for testing with our lab link, we wanted to make sure that, and we're what we call a high complex laboratory, so we're licensed in every state. I could
Okay.
be I could be in your city tomorrow and test everybody in the city, and
Wow.
it is. But the point is that from the jungles of Peru, that I've seen and dealt with and worked with native Indians in the Amazon jungle for 20 plus years, it was very important for us to start the PCR technology testing in Mississippi because of they have the most underserved people, the most neglected, the most the highest, one of the highest infection rate for the SARS-CoV virus, COVID-19 disease. You
Wow.
can imagine the poor people are similar to the folks in the jungles of Peru. And
Mhm,
what we wanted to do was make sure that we brought the number one test on the planet
mhm,
that has the sensibility and the sensitivity to be accurate on the diagnosis. And
mhm,
we brought that to Mississippi first with the city of Jackson, the whole state of Mississippi,
mhm.
and everybody that comes for our PCR technology is free, or we take insurance, and so nobody's turned away because we
Mhm.
have to have testing PCR gold standard for people. And the most important thing here is that because of the healthcare disparities, minorities and underprivileged people always got substandard care.
Yeah.
They got the brand new X-ray. They never got the brand new test. They never got the best medication. I
Mhm.
remember my grandmother as a kid, and my mother used to tell me about my great great grandmother who had high blood pressure, and she used to go to the doctor, the white doctor in Louisiana, and she would never ever feel good because my mom never knew if they were really giving her the medication or they were
Mm.
giving her some type of sugar pill. And so this time around, we have the control, we have the infrastructure to go out and make a difference in the field to save people's lives. So the folks in Mississippi and everywhere that we go, we have the number one diagnostic test for testing for the SARS-CoV virus, PCR. We can give you the results in 3 hours. My mom never knew if they were really giving her the
Mhm. You
medication.
know what? I love what you're saying, because I do know that in many of the environments that you're working in, when we say underserved, many of those residents, they live, in houses where they may have five, six, seven, eight, nine people, and they're even they're small houses, and they cannot actually social distance, and maybe they don't even have transportation to get out to the facilities, to the clinics, or they may not even have like a regular primary care doctor. So it's very, very nice that you're able to do that and bring testing to the community versus people having to go out. And then I think there's also that fear factor. So they see a person that looks like you and they feel a lot more comfortable than, seeing someone that may not look quite like them.
And it's true. My grandmother lived in a row house in Louisiana. I don't know if a lot of
Mhm.
folks know what a row house is.
Yeah.
I the coffee in the morning time in that row house and all of us in it and stuff. And so that's a very important point that a lot of minorities live in multiple families in the same house, so the
Mhm.
infection rate is going to be higher. And I think for me, and I think it's important that for me to go to the Mississippi Delta and be able to look at a black child and say, hey, I'm Dr. Rowling here to help save your life, and Charles Pickett to bring that technology to you guys it's an honor to be able to
Yeah.
do that. look like folks like us, and we're bringing the best care in the world to these folks, and that's just the bottom line, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And we're doing our job, from the Mississippi Delta to the Amazon jungle, and the Amazon jungle to the Mississippi Delta, and Mississippi Delta to the Hamburg, Germany. So
Yeah.
mission, we're doing it. We're not talking about it. We're doing testing every day. We're saving people's lives to help the Black race, in particular, survive this SARS-CoV virus infection that's going to go on for the next 5 years.
And this is why we love you. So thank you for what you and all the others that are attached to you are doing. Thank you so much. So, Dr. Rowland, got to go there. The vaccine. That's always the question. My thoughts on it. So what now? Like, how long? This is always a question. How long should those who can wait to receive the vaccine? That was another question. I think someone asked that question last time. They're still asking it because right now, like a lot of states are moving into these phases, 1A, 1B, so on and so forth, right? These ages, and then your, whatever your career is, whatever environment you're working with, they're deciding like when you should get your test, or I'm sorry, when you should get your vaccine. And then of course there's a shortage in some area. I mean, it's a lot going on, right? It's a lot going on. So what is your thoughts on the vaccine now? Because we talk about this month after month, right? Don't know if your thoughts have changed since last time, but we'll allow you to tell us your thoughts, share your thoughts on the vaccine.
Well, just like Fauci, Fauci said he's liberated now. He can really speak. Why in the beginning, because 400,000 Americans have died, and we should be basing our stuff off of medicine and science and not politics. If you really truly are humanitarian, because I've seen people really die in the jungles of Peru from diseases. So I don't have time to play around with folks and trying to figure it out, having a feel-good moment. So my question, and same thing I've talked about on all the different platforms, is that the vaccine, I'm not getting it. My grandchildren are not going to get it until I see the science and medicine, the reality. Now we're finding out that famous word that I said about vaccine efficacy to vaccine effectiveness. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. Okay. People get anaphylactic reaction. People are dying. You have different vaccines out there, and they show now that with the South African strand, the 501v2 is that the antibodies, monoclonal antibodies that it's supposed to generate, it's not working on that spike protein, and and what happened is that this is exactly what I said was going to happen. When you start talking about vaccines, you need to know exactly what you're doing. That's why it takes 3 to 10 years to come up with a vaccine. The vaccine that they made, Pfizer and biotech, you read the actual paper, because I believe in science and medicine. All the people that were in their phase were white from Germany, and the vast majority were white females. So what in the hell does a vaccine that has nothing to do with minorities, Black, Chinese, Native American, and we do have physiological differences in our body, going to have an effect on Black folks? It ain't going to work. In fact, this vaccine that they made, the initial one, Pfizer and all these other guys, is off the Wuhan strain, which is a D614G mutation. That's what they made their vaccine. That vaccine will have no effect on the South African strain. It's not going to have an effect on the London strain. It's not going to have a really effect on the new California strain. It's not going to have an effect on the SARS mutant strain. Each virus that is an evolutionary genus, just like the strain down in Brazil, the P1 strain that's killing everybody, and 75% of the people in Brazil already had the virus. They're supposed to have immunity, but now they're dying like flies again because of the new variant. So you have to make a new vaccine for every new variant mutation that occurs. If not, it's not going to work. And in fact, it's proven that none of these vaccines give people long-term immunity. You might get the vaccine and have some antibodies for maybe 30, 40 days, but they go away. And that's the reality. And even Fauci said the thing about the effectiveness of the vaccine. And what the point is that if it's so good, then why do you have to continue to wear a mask? Why do people that have had the vaccine have been reinfected again a second and third time? Why are people that got the vaccine, if it's so great, people getting anaphylactic reaction, Bell's palsy, and all the other stuff that I've talked about? So this is the reason why you have to sit back, relax, understand the science and medicine before you start injecting stuff in your body and stuff. That's the reality.
Ooh, Doc, you know, I always need a break. Because when you go in, all I see is all my travel plans going right out the window. So
Girl,
listen, look, I'm going to questions from see if anyone has any questions. If you have any questions, please drop it in the chat box. This is your time to get your questions answered. Doc, you dropped so much right there. Like, my question to you is, and I know I probably already know the answer. Why are we not getting this information? You know what I mean? Like, why are we not privy to this information? Like, when you talk about the deaths in Brazil, this is the first time I'm hearing of this. Now, part of that is because, you know, during the previous administration, I kind of tuned out of TV and I tried to miss some of the things that were coming along, you know, on social media because it was too much of that. But I still have never heard of this. But typically, after we talk, then normally I'll see something on the news like about 3 weeks to a month later, and I'll be like, you know what? He said that. So, so, so you share with us things that, of course, we're obviously not privy to, I think we should be. But why do you think we're not getting this information? You know, why don't I know that this is happening in Brazil?
well, it goes back to the first thing I said before, and I've said it for years. People can go back and they can look at all my interviews from telling people about mutations back in March and April and stuff, and then, wear a mask. But you have Fauci and the Surgeon General saying don't wear a mask.
Yeah.
They're all over the board. And the reality is that what they should have did was like we've talked about and what we're doing as the folks that are in my circle is that we're going to the ground game of what we call community education. They should have sat down and had an American talk or American fireside and said, guys, this is a virus. This is the reality. This is what you have to do to survive biosecurity protocols, procedures and stuff, and then tell people the reality of the virus. But they didn't do that. They took this and made it into a political issue, and 85% of the people put their head in the sand, and this is what you got today.
Yeah.
This is their reality, and so they have to, like we say, you need to own it. And reality. So you own this. So
Yeah.
this time around, after Dr. Rowland's done his thing for a year, I've always been correct. I've always been right because I base my stuff in medicine and science, and nobody can argue with that because if it ain't in the science and medicine in real life, it doesn't exist. And
Wow.
so make sure this time around that we're going to try to decrease the amount of people that are going to die, because at the rate we're going, there will be a million people will die by June 1st. You can do the numbers yourself, 5,000 people a day, you times it by 5 months, you got your numbers until you add the numbers that we have. This is our reality. So we have to make sure that people that are what position they in, they need to make sure that they're talking to people that have had the real life experience and can educate and talk to people on this level, because it's all about having boots on the ground and not talking from some white ivory house, but
Yeah.
being in the field with real people that look like you and talk your lingo.
Wow. Wow, Doc. Okay, we're going to start taking questions. I'm going to keep you as the highlight on the screen and you can start answering. So Dr. Blessman asks, where should we be getting our information? Mainstream media is not reporting it.
Well, that's the problem that we have now in our society. The misinformation from folks at the top that have these platforms, because they don't have people that are real experts in the information. It's very hard for somebody that is a journal practitioner actually talking about virology or biological warfare or diseases, or understanding the transmission of diseases. And that's one of the problems. And you got to have people that are that have had the real world experience. and have dealt with clinics in the jungles of Peru and been on boats and stuff and
Mhm.
done real epidemics from rabies and all that stuff to have appreciation of what diseases really can do and
Yeah.
can explain it to people on that type of level. And the only way that's going to happen is that you're going to have the people that really know the information. But we already see that their information hasn't worked because you have almost 500,000 people died in the United States. So their
Mhm.
formula is not working very well. And their track record is right now is an F.
Right. Thank you for that question, Dr. Blessman, and thank you for that answer, Dr. Rowland. I have another question, and it is from Miriam Frost. She says, "Are we seeing long-term issues with people who have contracted COVID-19 and gotten better? In other words, are people having major issues long after they've had COVID?"
And your question is a very good question. Absolutely. This is part of the viral spectrum that is absolutely just beautiful as a virologist, the effect that the virus can do on the human body. When we look at this virus has the ability to affect every cell in your body from your eyeballs down to your toes, your neurovascular system, musculovascular system, your brain, gastrointestinal tract, etc. And this virus causes what we call endothelial dysfunction, which means that man, you can have clots, you can have dysregulation of these the arterial system, which sets you up for dementia in the brain, cardiovascular effects, long-term fatigue, etc. Loss of taste, loss of smell. And so the long-term consequence of this virus is going to be here for many, many years. And now what we need to do is try to figure out how do we mitigate and also treat these underlying conditions because they're such severe. Just like the fact that if you get a significant infection with this SARS-CoV virus, you will, and if you live and you get put on a ventilator, that is why 25% of the people lose their lung capacity, which would be a lot of oxygen because of the pulmonary fibrosis and massive inflammation in the lungs. That creates other problems. So the bottom line, at the end of the day, folks, is that we have a long way to go. The
Yeah.
acute problem is very important, but more important is going to be the chronic problems on rehabilitation, occupational therapy, disability, who goes back to work, who survives, et cetera, long term. So we have a long ways to go, and we need to have the best science and medicine helping guide us through this new world that we're living in with the SARS-CoV virus, the many different ones.
Yeah, thank you so much for that answer. And Miriam Frost, thank you for those questions. They're wonderful. I have another question. Well, not even a question. It was a statement. I think because we were talking about the vaccines and if they could work on one strain over the other. So this I cannot pronounce that name, so please forgive me. I'm not even going to try. But the initials are JA. The other day, they saw that Pfizer say it works on a new strain. Not sure if they should believe them or not. I guess the Pfizer vaccine was said to work on a new strain.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, absolutely not. It's impossible for them to have done a study that quick. They're going to have to take it and take that vaccine, whatever, and get a copy of that strain and test individuals. This is one of the things. If you look at the South African strain, they took patients that were supposedly had the vaccine or had antibodies for antibodies formed because they had a previous infection. Took the convalescent plasma and treated these patients, and guess what? It had no effect on the South African strain. And that what I believe is that one of the hallmarks of having a great program is that vaccination, you have to have a vaccination that is dealt in science and medicine and not off a short-term fix. The problem that they have with this vaccination is that folks, they set the vaccination to people over 18 to 50 years of age or whatever, 85, 90 years of age. And guess what? What about the population of the children? They have to do the vaccination on children. They have to do vaccination on kids with autism, people that are pregnant, etc. And they did not do that. So what are you telling the world is that so in 8 months after you use all these vaccines, now you're going to do a study on black children? to find out if the vaccine works. You're going to do a study on pregnant females to see if your vaccine works. That's why it takes 3 to 10 years to do vaccination, because you have to do all the different subtypes if you're going to inject people. And the last thing I'll say on this is that if you don't do, if everybody in America or the world does not get this vaccination, I can promise you, you're going to have another outbreak. One person started this global pandemic, the first pandemic. We're in the second and third wave of that. We're in the first pandemic. We're in the second pandemic now, first wave. If one individual started all of this, so you can imagine if some kid in Montana does not get the vaccination because of religious belief, whatever, anaphylactic reaction, that individual can be patient zero and start a whole new pandemic all over again.
This is scary. I so appreciate that information. However, we can take more questions. And Dr. Rowland, we have one. Listen, everyone, please share this. Share this. These questions are getting good, and information is getting even better. So here we go. We have Dwayne Dwyer. Question: Fauci suggested J&J is about a week out from their version. I think that's Johnson and Johnson,
Yes.
which is a single shot as opposed to a double shot. Are you hearing anything referencing Johnson and Johnson vaccine potentially being more effective than Moderna or Pfizer?
I don't think it's going to be infected, because if you understand vaccination and vaccination development and stuff, in this situation, this is the RNA virus. What you're going to have to do, that is why this is a two-step approach to vaccine or getting injected. Your first injection is to try to get a primary response, to have your body make an immune reaction to it. And this is supposed to help your body develop what we call affinity maturation or conferred immunity, where your body sees it, makes antibodies to it. In about 21 days on the average, you make antibodies that are IgG, and then you inject that person again to make another response. And what you hope to do is what we call create memory cells with your B cells and T cells. So 6 months from now, 8 months from now, a year from now, you get the SARS-CoV virus, you have immunity to that. Folks, there is no conferred immunity or that we see, or long-term immunity with any coronavirus, even the common cold that coronavirus cause, or these beta coronavirus, what we're looking at now. And so Johnson & Johnson concept is great. And, it's going to, the most important thing is that we're going to find out in the real world. And the real world is going to be when they put this thing into the field and actually start testing folks. We're going to find out what the antibiotic level is 6-7 months now on what we call vaccine effectiveness. And I guarantee you, none of one of these companies in the world are going to have no 90%, 80%, 70%, 60%, efficacy. And they're not going to have that in effectiveness. And the reality, you're going to get probably 30, 25% effectiveness long term. And people still that get the vaccine are still being infected, even though they're getting their vaccine. And people are trying to come up with some type of rationalization to calm the general public, because nobody sat down and talked to people about how vaccines really work like we are doing right now.
Right. Wow. All right. So I hope that answered your question, Mr. Dwyer. Goodness, that is, I don't know what we should do, but I know you have some answers. So I'm going to let you give us some answers along the way. For me, I get very, very afraid, because this is the reality that we're in. And I just want solutions. And I know we do have some good news that we, are obviously going to share that's coming up. But, still the reality is a lot of our families and friends and, people that we know are suffering with this virus and are succumbing to it ultimately.
Well, the bottom line here is that what we're here for is we're here to bring people hope and opportunity. That's what life's all about. When I'm in the jungles of Peru carrying a 85-pound rucksack, jumping off a boat, leeches, snakes, monkeys, and all that stuff, hiking through the jungles for 9 hours to get to a village to save people's lives, or taking the best technology to Mississippi, we're bringing hope and opportunity, trying to get people back in school, the kids and stuff, et cetera, et cetera. That's what it's about. But before you can have this Walt Disney kumbaya moment. You have to deal with the reality to be able to see to the other side. And so people have to have the reality, the truth, and but we're all about positive, let's make it happen. That's why we do what we do. Uh, uh, you know, uh, the people I'm dealing with are trying to make America better, the world better, and that's a whole different ball game. And not trying to do anything because we're dealing in a new reality in a new world, and people need to come to grips with that
Mhm.
because you're not going to a normal movie like you did 8 months ago. Hell, I want to see Top Gun. You know, I want to go get some popcorn and some chocolate raisin and all that stuff. I want to go to Antigua and St. Lucia's and Barbados and do scuba diving and lay on
Yeah.
the beach and drink, a super daiquiri with, all liquor with 5% strawberries. I
Yeah.
want to, but I can't do that.
You can do it. I agree. You are not alone, sir. You are not alone. All right. We have another question from Bonique Ma'at. What a beautiful name. I hope I pronounced it right. If a person gets reinfected, would it be from a different strain or can it be from the same strain? That's a great question.
Well, the reality is that more than likely it's going to be from another strain, but
Mhm.
the possibility of being infected by the same strain, absolutely. Depending on how your immune system is, if there's a holdover of the virus from the first infection, that's still in your body, maybe your body suppressed it, but most of the time viruses are pretty smart in their defects or their effects on human beings. For i.e., people get Ebola virus, and the Ebola virus lives in your eyeballs.
Oh,
you know, and
yeah.
it is, and that virus is. People say, "Well, I'm cured of the disease," and then 1 year later, these same folks that were supposed to be cured of Ebola, they have another Ebola outbreak. So, absolutely, you can be infected. There is no one way or the other to define if you get infected by one strain. You won't be affected by another strain, which will happen, but you can also be affected by the same strain too.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the answer, Doctor. Please, family, continue to share. And we have more questions, Doc. People are on here tonight. Okay. They're loving this. And we're also looking for answers, right? This is where we are. Okay. Brown girlism. All right. So I think she says if the data from the clinical trials say you have to wait 3 to 4 weeks for the second dose, then why are they now saying you can now go 6 weeks to get the second dose? She wrote this in all caps. She's for real, for real. Thank you
Well,
for that question.
but this is where you have all the different information that's out there.
Mhm.
I think what people need to do is that they need to actually go get the paper that these Pfizer and BioNTech submitted for the FDA approval. And I've read that paper 50 times, and people would be floored if they actually knew what what they actually did and stuff. And they say right in there, their immunity in the paper, I think, went 81 days. And after 81 days, there was no more antibodies after
Mm.
they infected people. And so this was still subject to review. And you have to realize, folks, is that these vaccinations do not have any long-term studies behind them. They only have short-term gains. So how in the hell can you tell somebody a vaccine has long-term immunity when the vaccine's only been out for 3 months? I'm trying to get my brain wrapped in on that one. And so that's impossible because if the vaccine has not been tested in the field, what we call vaccine effectiveness, which is a key, and that's where you're at right on that.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you for that question. It's a great question. Here we have a question about the antibody test. So Doc, because I thought I had been sick already, I thought I may have gotten COVID before because I was really, really sick last year. Um, I went and got an antibodies test done. So this question is getting the antibodies test worth it? That's a good
Well,
question. It was worth it I myself.
I think any antibody test, any test is good, but I'm gonna be honest with you. The one of the reason why we got in one of the situation here in the United States because the CDC tried to come up with an antigen antibody test and it failed. So
Mm,
that allowed the infection to really get out of control on the West Coast, and now we're at. when you're talking about antigen antibody testing for the SARS-CoV virus, you have to understand that we have different strains out there. And antigen antibody rapid tests are probably one of the most unreliable tests in virus, especially virology in the SARS-CoV pandemic, because you have such a high false positivity, negativity. So 35 up to 50% of some of the assays are giving out these negative results. And so this is, I believe, and I've seen it, this is what's spread the infection, the SARS virus worldwide, especially in Latin America, where they're getting these Chinese kits, these assays, and they're unreliable. And, and the governments are buying these kits and sending them back to China. And China is putting out this very bad antigen rapid test, and it's cheap, and they don't work, and that is spread the infection. So you can imagine somebody comes home, I've had the antigen antibody test, I'm negative, but you're really positive, and you affect the whole entire family. That's the scenario that we're seeing in the field, the reality on that, and that's very important. And in some of these, so that's a game changer. So that's why PCR is the gold standard for diagnosing infectious diseases. I teach a course in molecular medicine in Peru called the using molecular medicine in the diagnosis of infectious disease. We use this for HIV, antiretroviral. We use it for cytomegalovirus, etc. And this is what we use in the field to determine some infectious diseases, because we have to know now. We can't wait 6 hours. We can't wait a day. We can't wait a week. We have to have that answer right now. So PCR is a gold standard with almost 100% sensitivity and the detectability, which is a game changer, and you can get the results within 3 hours. That is pivotal.
Wow. I hope everyone's taking notes. Continue to share this information. Thank you for your question, Cindy. And thank you, Dr. Rowland. All right. From N. Conaway, is the status of the approved vaccines considered experimental?
Yes, it is. That's why it's called experimental use authorization. I mean, when you say experimental use authorization for this vaccine, that's exactly what it is. They're experimenting. And that's why I'm going to sit on the sideline and watch all you folks get that vaccination. Then I'm going to look at the results, and I'll make a decision on what I'm going to do for my family and my grandchildren. And, I think it's important for folks to understand that 98% of the people that get the SARS virus, you're going to be fine. You're going to live. You might have a bad case of the flu. I think I had it back in last January. I was in Amsterdam for a week. Man, I'd never been so sick in my life. I was injecting myself with everything I could get my hands on, and I couldn't even push a cart, 10 feet without being exhausted. I had fever, had chills. I had everything that you can have that I thought, and I think that I had the SARS-CoV virus. I mean, it got to a point that I'd never done marijuana in my life. Bought marijuana brownies. Tried getting my pain. It didn't work. So, this is the reality of what we're dealing with.
Love it, love it, love it. Okay, let's see. Just trying to get all the questions before I go back to the other things I want to get to. Hello, Yusuf. Hello, everyone. I want to just make sure I acknowledge people. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Leslie. Oh my goodness. Hi, everyone. All right, we have another question. Okay, so this was a question. If you had stated, did he say that everyone has to get the vaccine? That wasn't what you said at
I know.
all.
Hey, I did not say that. I did vaccine. You 3 million people, whatever they want, y'all go there and run and get that vaccine. I'm going to sit back and study you guys and find out what the results are when the next science article comes out about the effectiveness of the vaccine. When I'm telling people you need to kind of wait and see what happens to everybody else, because we got multiple strains out there. And I'm telling you right now, in 2 weeks, there's going to be a gorilla strain come out of San Diego, because gorillas are affected with the SARS-CoV virus now. So from a meat animal, I promise you it's going to come from a gorilla. Planet of the Apes type of stuff.
Oh my goodness. All right. Okay. So do you recommend the vaccine for frontline workers? That's from Miss P. Edwards.
Well, I'm not going to say you can ask the frontline workers yourself. 50 to 60% of them are not taking that vaccine. And there's a reason why, because they truly understand the science and medicine. And, folks, I am a pro-vaccine guy. I love vaccines. I've seen, measles, mumps, diphtheria, tetanus. I've taken vaccines in the jungles and done inoculations to people. And I've seen children die from diphtheria and tetanus that haven't had vaccines. Vaccines made our society what it is today. It's given us longevity in life. It's given people not being paralyzed from polio, having diphtheria, tetanus, all the great stuff that vaccines are supposed to do. But this vaccine, I'm going to be sitting on the sideline until I get some more data and some more information on it. And then once I see that and I understand that, I'll be the first person to get the vaccination based off of science and medicine and not based off of some anecdotal, somebody pushing some propaganda stuff. That's just the way it is. I'm sorry.
All right. I love it. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. We have so many questions, Doc. I mean, we have a lot of questions. So let me try to get back to
You'll get back to our format and we'll, get that done.
We'll come back. I'm trying my best to get all the questions answered, and maybe with our conversation, we will be able to do so. So, of course, like the last time, we wanted to know a little bit more about African Americans and or just minorities in general taking vitamin D. Should we be taking this in higher doses, or what do you want to hear about vitamin D?
I want folks to understand it because we really haven't had time to talk about, it's always been a quick talk about. But let me explain that for Black folks, that you need to make sure, besides taking a multivitamin every day, you need to make sure you're taking vitamin D, because during the winter time, Black people have a deficit in vitamin D because of lack of sun. So it's very important that Black folks, period, people of skin color, have to take vitamin D to increase your level, because you have a vitamin D deficiency, and that will affect the outcome on the immune system, etc. And so my multivitamin, vitamin D is very important for Black folks to have that, because once again, it shows you our pathophysiology is a lot different than other people because of our skin color.
Okay. I hope everyone understands that. I know the vitamin D question comes up quite a bit. We do have another question from the chat box, and this has come up before as well, sir. I mean, we're still learning though, right? But this has come up before. Is herd immunity even possible with the SARS-CoV virus and RNA virus in general?
Well, in general, we might, and this is a good example. What you have to understand the science. So let me break this down, and we're going to use Brazil as example. I'll use, Fauci said earlier that 70% of the population of a given population has to be infected, whatever the case, vaccine, get the disease, to have herd immunity. Well, he changed his story because Dr. Rowland, I've been telling folks, true herd immunity. Me?
Okay, hold on. I know we're having some technical difficulties, but thank goodness.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Your camera is off and we are live, and y'all already know this is what happens. Thank you. I can't hear you now though. I got your video, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So let's get right down to it, folks, the reality of it. So I've been saying the books tell you what we teach, and I teach in infectious diseases, what I teach in public health, what I teach in infectious diseases, and also in tropical medicine in Peru. Herd immunity, by definition, is 90%.
Everyone, hang in there. We're coming right back.
Yeah. Okay. So true definition of herd immunity is 90% of the population. Well, Brazil is a prime example of what happens in Brazil, in the city of Manaus, Manus. They've had 76% of the people have had the SARS-CoV virus, the first one. And guess what happened? Even though they had herd immunity, people are dying worse now. The same people. So that shows you that herd immunity is not going to be the answer to this SARS-CoV virus, because even though you have herd immunity in the city of Brazil, people are being infected by the new strains. So
Wow.
that is why it's very important that people have biosafety, biosecurity protocols. People understand how to protect themselves, and that's the reality. And so Brazil is a prime. I want everybody to Google Brazil, and you need to look at it, read it yourself on what might happen in the United States. Even if we get to 70%, 80%, 90%, we're still going to have multiple in-depth infections from different strains. And that's why you have to make sure that you protect yourself, basic safety security bio protocols, making sure you're tested on a regular basis, because this is the reality. History, life, real world epidemics, real world pandemics tell you what's going to happen, like happened in Italy, what happened in Germany, what happened in London. We know what's coming down the road. Usually America's usually 1 or 2 months behind these global diseases, especially in this pandemic. So the reality is we would probably never ever get to herd immunity in this particular pandemic. It's definitely dealing with the SARS-CoV virus, which is the largest RNA virus on the planet and very immunogenic. It mutates every 2 weeks. That is a fact.
Wow. All right. I hope that answers your question. That was some heavy information. Thank you again, Doc, for sharing. Deborah asked if you advise against traveling to the Caribbean islands. If so, why?
Well, I'm going to the Caribbean sooner than later, because I know how to protect myself. I'm gonna get on that plane like I do every week, and I got pretty good knowledge of biosafety security protocols. When I get to the beach, to the islands, and I go to a restaurant, and you might as well know I'm gonna figure out where the wind's blowing. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be upwind for everybody. Make sure I don't get infected. So if somebody's there, I'm gonna get to the furthest end.
Doc, I promise you. It's funny you're saying that. Let me come back into this because I have a girlfriend that's going out, and she's probably watching tonight. But she was going out to dinner tonight, and she said, "Well, Queenie, you went out to a birthday dinner. So how'd you manage?" I said, "Well, listen." I said, "What Dr. Roland had told me to do was make sure that I was ahead of the wind and not downwind." I said, "So when we went to this restaurant, it was kind of like an L shape. I got to the far wall where no one had to pass me by. They didn't have to do anything. They just served my food, and all the activity was down at the end because that's where the door was. When I went into that room and got my seat, I was thinking solely about you and Dr. Blessman. Like that was, I looked at the room and I was like, absolutely not. I'm going to the corner."
I'm never ever downwind from anybody.
So thank you for that useful information. And listeners, I am going to share the link for Dr. Rowland's book, navigating. I think it's navigating AUSET dash ISIS, but I'm going to share that in a moment. So make sure that you stay on with us long enough so you can actually get the link yourself and you can go out there. And he will tell you in a moment all about what's on that link. But I know it's a great book, and then of course he has a lot of biosafety protocols that I mean, it's just wonderful. So make sure you hang around for that. All right, Doc, we're going to go back into this because look, we had more questions tonight than we usually get. But it's because people want to know. So let me roll through this, okay? Let's see. Does this cause heart? Okay, does this cause heart issues? I guess she's talking about a medication. I don't, or they're having a conversation for themselves. So hold on, Dr. Rowan. I'm gonna get your question. Oh, well, you know what? Matter of fact, let me go ahead and put this up here. Dr. Blessman, she's always on it. Thank you so much. There is the book, Navigating a New World, at auset-isis.org. I'll leave that up for a second. So please make sure everyone you get this information. Get it. All right, so let's see. Dr. Roland, Organic Disinfectant Pro Guardian. This is another one plugging your amazing information you shared before, the amazing product that you have. So there it is. Thank you, Amiko. I appreciate that. Look at them. I love it. These are your supporters. I love it. They believe in what you're doing. This is awesome. All right, let's see. Someone laughed at your marijuana joke. Let's see. Someone asked if you're going to accept the position on Biden's team. That would be great. Well, make sure you share this video. Maybe we can get him out there telling the truth. That would be wonderful.
Well, I can tell you right now, I'm here for the long term. I'm not here for 15 minutes of glory, like a
Absolutely.
lot of folks are. You know, people talking about if you breathe the sand and people pushing malaria medication. Oh my God, I mean, them idiots that kill people. You know, they have blood on their hands and stuff. So, if I get the opportunity to assist our new president and our new great administration and a different vibe in America, where we have a sense of relief that, we have sensibility. Oh, I'll do what I need to do to help the Biden administration to mitigate and contain this and bring all my 6 degrees and all the information and real world experience to bear. But I'm doing it right now. I've been doing it before they were in the game since February.
Absolutely. Absolutely, sir. So yeah, share this out. You guys got you in the network, then hey, plug Dr. Rowland's name and let's get him mainstream. All right, Doc. From Lena Flores, she said, "Good evening, sir. If you have already had COVID, can you get the deadly strain of COVID? Also, I understand that you can still get COVID even though you have received the vaccine." So I think she probably came late to the party. Maybe you can give a quick response to that.
Bottom line is that you can get all the strains. You can get the strains multiple. That's what gives this virus the ability to do what it does. This virus is an evolutionary genius. Each strain is an evolutionary distinct strain from itself, even though it's from the same lineage. The mutations are different in the spike proteins, and absolutely correct. You can get the African strain, and then you can be infected with the Wuhan strain, and then you can be infected with the London strain, and then you can be affected with the California strain, which is a completely L452R mutant that originated from California. So, absolutely.
Wow. All right. Thank you for that answer and thank you for that question, Lena. Marie Taboso, do you recommend to take the vaccine if you have an immunodeficiency problem because you take, and this is the medicine, Sabri or
You
Cyber?
would never take a vaccine like that if you have immuno situation. That could probably end up killing you, and people do have anaphylactic reaction on that, and that's why you have to do the subset. If you have a particular autoimmune disease, they have to take somebody, for example, has systemic lupus erythematosus or rheumatoid, and they have to do vaccination trials on them particular subset and find out what the reactions are. That's how you do good science in medicine.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. Is it okay to take the vaccine if you have a shellfish allergy?
Well, I mean, you have to make that call yourself. I don't tell people what and how to do. What we call is free will. You have to make that choice yourself, and understanding what your situation is, what your exposure rate is, et cetera. Are you around a lot of people? Are you at home? These are all the factors that you need to understand, and then you need to make sure that you do the background information on the actual vaccine that you choose, and doesn't matter if it's Johnson & Johnson, and make sure that you get it done. I mean, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, there's only one vaccination I recommend right now, period, in this SARS-CoV virus, and that's a vaccine called Pneumovax 23. I've said that 1,000 times. That is the one that's going to keep you from getting pneumonia. I've had it. Most people get it because this will prevent you from getting the streptococcus pneumonia, and pneumonia is what kills a lot of folks, is the pneumonia from bacterial streptococcus pneumonia. So that is a stable vaccine with no real side effects that everybody should get. That's going to save your life short term and in the long term.
So let me just share this as well, Doc, because I want to make sure that people understand it is not always easy to get the Pneumovax. They would turn you down if you're young. They will turn you down if you don't have any underlying issues. I'm telling you that from my own personal experience. I still have not been able to get it just because I was going through my doctor, but I know that there are other avenues that I can take. So just make sure that you understand that if your doctor turns you down and this is a vaccine that you choose to get, there are other places that you can get that vaccine.
Absolutely. Correct.
Okay, so here's the question again. If people do not get the vaccine, if people do not get the vaccine and choose to protect themselves in the correct way by wearing masks and I'm assuming like using my finger, using the my finger products, will our bodies build up an immunity to the COVID-19 virus?
Our body never builds up the immunity to the coronavirus family ever. That is why when we look at coronavirus infection, the second leading cause of the common cold behind the rhinovirus is the coronavirus family, the alpha coronavirus. And guess what? Every one of us gets this cold every year. Every one of us gets this virus every year. And there is no conferred or what we call affinity maturation long-term memory. And so you will be infected again, like I'm going to be infected. And even though you get it, doesn't mean that you're going to have long-term immunity. That's just the way the coronavirus is. You can go look it up in a medical immunology book, look under coronavirus and find out, hey, is there a long-term of conferred immunity? Absolutely not. That's why people get reinfected every year with the common cold.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Someone is requesting that you tell us about the protocols. And of course, I know that they can go to the website. You want to just give them the website or you want to do a quick?
No, they can go to the book and read that and stuff, because this is, I've talked about that before. Take the time, folks, to get the book. We wrote the book because this is the problem. It's not a problem, but what happens is when we're giving this information out on this type of format, or I'm doing it on one of the television programs, it's a lot of information. So the book is concise, got the information that we can talk about that you need to sit down and actually read, because the book's going to save your life. And it comes from our experience in infectious diseases world. And this is a basic guideline to making sure you have the information. So you want to understand biosafety, biosecurity protocols, get the book. It's right there in print. Print on, what you call electronic.
Yeah, and it's inexpensive. So it's not even a cost issue. It's inexpensive and it's an easy read.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right, sir. So I have a question for my own. The PCR testing, is that a rapid test or does it take 3 days to come back?
No, it's a PCR test, polymerase chain reaction, or what we call RT-qPCR. It's a test that can be done. You get the sample. And our test for Lab Link, we use saliva. So people spit in a tube. We can't take a swab of the mouth, and we run it, and that result comes. It's done in 90 minutes. We have the results in 90 minutes, but we always tell people you get your results within 3 hours, same day, not 24 hours, not 48 hours. The most state-of-the-art, high-tech PCR gold standard for diagnosis of infectious diseases, period.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I think we're almost finished with these questions. They are now a lot of people are having a great conversation.
Yeah, I want to get into the other stuff too, because we could be answering questions.
We are. Let me just put this up here because I talked about the Pneumovax vaccine and how difficult it is to get it sometimes from your doctor. And Bajan Bimsha, I'm sorry if I messed up your name. I do apologize. She said, if you live in Florida, you can order Pneumovax 23 at Publix pharmacy. So this is good. Make sure you check your local pharmacies because this is
right. And because people can get it at CVS pharmacy, Walgreens, depending on what it is. And what I've heard, and I don't know if it's, I've heard this through the grapevine, that in some of these Black communities, underserved communities, Black folks are going into the pharmacies and say, hey, I need to get the Pneumovax, 13 Prevnar or the Pneumovax 23, and they're telling them no. And they're going, well, how do you know about this? And then other people are going in and get the vaccine and stuff because, it goes back down to that thing back in February, March, when they were telling you folks, don't panic, don't get a mask. And then there was a run on toilet paper and running long lines. So you need to make sure that you have the ability to think outside the box, like we say in the military, and go look and find out where you can get it, because this is a game changing, it's going to save your family's life. That's just a fact. No ifs, ands, and buts about it.
All right, so that is all for our questions. Yes, you can get you can go to your local CVS and Walgreens, local health department, and they're asking about the PCR test. PCR, I think that's what I actually had. I've had a couple tests not too long ago.
We can come back and visit that.
We can do that. All right, so perfect. So I'm going to move on. We're going to get on to the other good stuff. There is hope, right?
Yes, there is. Finally, big hope.
So I heard, you and I, you share things with me, and I read different things that you share with me, and you shared something about a new medication, and I almost dropped my phone. Okay,
Right.
so let's dig into this, sir. What is it? Norversid?
And you call it Novaricid.
All
Is a new medication. I call it effective treatment for helping mitigate and having people survive, especially the Black race. That's going to make an effective difference in their lives. It's a game changer, and people know that I'm very oriented science and medicine. I've been looking for something to be able to give people therapeutic hope that's going to make a difference and save people's lives that have the acute symptoms of the SARS-CoV virus after they've been tested for PCR testing and they have the signs and symptoms. It's a medication that you can take that's going to increase your ability to live and survive through this infection, because the medication Norviricide has really two main, I believe, etiologies that I love. Is one, that it increases your O2 saturation by causing vasodilatation in your body, and this keeps you from having all the cardiovascular and all the clots problems that you have. And then also the medication has the ability to bind to the SARS-CoV virus spike protein, which decreases the viral load, which is a game changer. And this is unbelievable. And I'm so excited to be able to introduce this and tell people about this new drug that's out there. And we need to get this to the Black community now and not in another 6 months or a year, because we can imagine how many people are going to die. And so I had to make this announcement that it is here, and people can get access to this, through clinical trials in certain cities. And if I was you and have a loved one that has the signs and symptoms, you need to get this medication, this drug.
Okay, sir. Now I'm like super excited about this. Now I have my own personal question. So this is the website down running below, right? And so tell me, like, is this something I would just sign up for like the trial? I mean, how will me,
Well,
right?
a
In
normal
Virginia, how's Queenie gonna be able to get this?
well, I mean, this is a game changer. This is the first African American drug
Mhm,
approved by the FDA for Black folks in the SARS-CoV pandemic. And
mhm,
this medication is designed to decrease the mortality and morbidity in Black folks,
mhm,
not some German study dealing with white people. This is an actual study and drug that is indicated for Blacks because we have such a high death rate, high hospitalization and stuff. We have multiple healthcare disparities from diabetes, cardiovascular hypertension, etc. And this drug, the neuroviricide, has the ability to increase oxygenation in you. For example, somebody sick with the SARS-CoV virus, you got the COVID-19 disease. What happens to a lot of folks is that you end up with what we call oxygen desaturation. That's why you have to have a pulse oximeter in your family now or in your home, because you have a decrease in oxygen because of what we call the dysregulation of the endothelial cells, and we have vasoconstriction. You have lack of oxygen to your lungs, lack of oxygen to your heart, caused by the dysregulation by the virus. So
mhm.
this medication actually increases the oxygenation in your body, in your lungs, it's just a game changer. And that will get your O2 saturation when it drops to 85 up to back into a normal level. And that's very important in the initial acute infection when you have the SARS-CoV virus. And also the virus has, the medication has the ability to bind to the spike protein of the SARS-CoV virus, and that decreases the amount of viruses in your body, a viral load. So this is a game winner. And man, I'm surprised that for me, in my world of having confidence in the healthcare system because of what Black people have gone through, from the Tuskegee syphilis experiment to vaccination, radiation programs, I can go on, that I finally found something that is going to make a difference for Black folks and underserved people and I sign off on it because I will give my grandchildren that, and I sleep very comfortable at night. Game changing, incredible, and I'm so proud to be able to be part of history and actually making a difference in Black people in the COVID-19 era, and also be able to take this medication not for Black folks but other underserved people on Indian reservations, et cetera, and worldwide. I look forward to, making this happen because it's a game changer.
Wow. Okay. All right. So in that, we got the comment section popping. So do all doctors have access to Novaricid?
I repeat that again.
Do all doctors have access to this
No,
medicine?
they're not. They're in 4 different clinics. One clinic in Chicago, a clinic in Jackson, Mississippi. There's a clinic in Houston, Texas, and then in Los Angeles. These are 4 spots that you have to go to the website, look at it, and get your paperwork in, and get your loved one there, because it's a game changer, folks. I promise you, this medication is what I call effective treatment. That you're treating one of the major underlying causes for Black folks to die from the SARS-CoV or COVID-19 disease is oxygen desaturation, viral load. And this is very important in the cardiovascular arena, and also, having hypertension. So this is a game-changing medication, and I love it, just like I love Proguardium, just like I love PCR, etc. It's a game changer for Black folks, and it's unbelievable.
Love it. So everyone, I know you're asking where can you get more information on this? The website, thank you, Dr. Blessman, for always having our back. The website is on the screen. Please, please, please check it out. Thank you. Thank you so much. Doc,
Yeah.
you see how fast our time went? Like, that is our hour, and we're over an hour.
Wow.
I know. Every time we get on here, we trying to sip and talk. It just it's getting better and better and better.
Well, this is important. Today I woke up, I was very excited because, I knew I was coming on to be on your platform, and I wanted to make this announcement about, Novera's side to the world and to all the Black folks that follow me, and, speak to a 500,000 people every week. And this is out there now. So Black folks, this is your opportunity, signed by Dr. Rowling, to go and get your folks into and get this drug now. This drug is a lozenger. You put it in your mouth. It dissolves in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
No real side effects.
Mm-hmm.
And in 7-8 minutes, lasts 6 hours, you have increase in oxygen, which will prevent you from having heart attacks, or what we call acute respiratory distress syndrome. And this is one of the leading causes of deaths in Black folks. So we're reversing that with this medication. A real time, a real life, unbelievable, a drug that is designed for African Americans to help save their lives. And I just got to, give a shout out to Dr. Nathan Bryant on the ingenuity, the creator of this, and FDA approved medication.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just beautiful. And I'm very, very proud to be a part of that mission to save Black people's lives.
I love it. I love it. So before we go, I just want to ask these 2 questions, because we're talking about a medication. And so of course, we want to know, do they only give the medication if you have had COVID already, or is it preventative medicine? That's a great question.
But the first part of the given the initial doses now, the people that actually going to get the drug and are getting the drug is for people that have acute symptoms now, i.e. you go and you get tested, then all of a sudden you get symptoms, you have a fever, et cetera, et cetera. We'll give you the medication now. And this is to alleviate or prophylactically prevent what's going to happen. It stops the cascade of you decompensating or having decompensation from the O2 part of it, from clot dysregulation, endothelial dysregulation, O2 suppression, cardiovascular effects. This is going to mediate that, and then also the ability of the medication to bind to the virus itself, which will decrease the viral load to give your body time. And when the drug actually comes to the world, it's going to be, I think it's going to be prophylactic for everybody. That's just the way it's got to be. I'm definitely going to be taking it myself. if I get the SARS-CoV virus, because I understand the biochemistry and the virology and all that stuff. And this is a game changer in the world. I mean, what can you say? You can't argue with it, period. And
Oh, I love that. I love that, Doc. So lastly, a question came up. I know that you said that, for minorities or for Black people, but of course the question came up, can anyone take this medication? This is not, yeah, go ahead.
no, finish your question.
The question was, can Hispanics and white people, this is a people's medication, correct?
Well, I call it a people's medication, but the bottom line that this is going to be something initially that is going to be in the African American community, because we have the highest hospitalization, the death rate, we have the highest healthcare disparities, we have high rates of diabetes, we have high rates of high blood pressure, cardiovascular stuff. So this drug, this initial study, and the drug is for African Americans in the SARS-CoV virus to increase the survivability of the Black race. Then after that, if white people want to take it and Mexicans want to take it, by all means, make it happen. But this is an African American, what I call the drug to be in the future to help in the SARS-CoV virus, because the SARS-CoV virus, folks, is going to be around for the next 5-10 years. Do not make no bones about it that this thing's going to go away like your past president said in the fall. It's going to just disappear. It's not going to disappear. These other strains from Africa and are going to drive these next pandemics. And so we have to have some way to survive using great biosecurity protocols, being smart, having situational awareness. And folks, you got to have, the best technology from testing, calling LabLink to come to your neighborhood or your community to test people real time, PCR, and not using a shortcut antigen antibody, and then also having a potential game changer treatment with Noviricide medication that you can take, which help alleviate and help the symptomology and give you a best outcome to survive the SARS-CoV pandemic.
Wow. Thank you so much, Doc. Oh my God. This is it. I can't believe how fast this goes. You leave so much information, always leaving us wanting more. We're going to do a number 6.
I think we should do another. I think we should do one in 1 month, because it'll be interesting to see how many folks, Black folks out there, have gotten the Noviricide medication. It's going to save people's lives. I'm looking forward to taking this medication around the world. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to take it to the jungles of Peru and give it to the most poorest people that don't look like me, don't speak my language. I can't wait to have it in the Mississippi Delta for that grandmother that gets the COVID-19 in that row house, and we give her that pill, and it helps her in surviving the SARS-CoV virus because of the underlying condition what the virus does. So we have a potential that is unbelievable, and I'm so proud to be one part of the equation and to save people's lives at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? You hang tight, Doc. To the audience, thank you so much for coming, for joining us. You'll see us again next month. You heard Dr. Rowland said we're gonna be back at this again next month.
Next month, next month, everybody. Next month's gonna be a strawberry daiquiri month. So everybody, strawberry daiquiri or daiquiri of their choice. I'm gonna do a daiquiri with like 90% alcohol and maybe 10% of strawberries.
With that being said, y'all better join us early, because by the end of it, we're gonna probably be having a whole nother conversation over here. Gonna be shucking and jiving, as they say down in the South.
I want to thank you very much for the platform. You've always been a great host, Queenie. We've done this in North Carolina in a hotel room, and it's an opportunity. And I want people to get to the website for the medication, Noviricide, and get enrolled. Houston, Texas, Los Angeles, Chicago, Jackson, Mississippi. If you have to drive from Wyoming to get to Chicago to get that drug and get into the study to save your loved one's life, you get it done, because once you're gone, there's no coming back. And so we have to give everybody the opportunity to survive. And this is one way we're making it happen, saving lives and making a difference in the world.
All right. That's right, Doc. I love it. Again, thank you so much for coming. Everyone, thank you. Please join us again next month. I don't know, we just seem to like the 22nd. It just works out. I don't know what day that falls on, but just follow my page, The Relationship Zone, either on YouTube and or Facebook and or IG. And the flyers, they come out, all the promotions come out ahead of time, and put it on your calendar. You'll know when we're going live, and you see, like we did tonight, ask those questions. We're going to get the answers for you. Share it with your family, and yeah, continue to stay safe. Wash those hands, put that mask on, get your ProGuardium. Is that right? Because you're not you gotta get that.
February 22nd, that's a beautiful month. That's Black History Month. So I think it's fantastic to do another program platform and doing that month.
Yes, I like that. So we will. And listen, bring your daiquiris next month.
Yeah, no brownies, marijuana. That don't work on me. In Amsterdam. In fact, I had diarrhea after I ate it.
Look, TMI, I still have never tried it. So my friends have, but I've still never tried it. I'm always scared. So,
well, do the brown chocolate chip cookie. But when I did, and I had massive diarrhea for about 8 hours. Hell, I ran out of toilet paper.
I love it. I love it. I love it. We always got to cut up. We always got to cut up. So thank you, everyone, for listening in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your wonderful questions. I wish you nothing but health, good health, and mindfulness, because I want you to make sure that you're mindful and aware of your surroundings and everything that you're touching and every place you're going. Be very, very careful. And what did Dr. Rowland say? Do not find yourself downwind.
Always.
All right, so y'all be safe out there. We love you, and see you next month.